Today we're going to talk about a visual form of argument. It's writing and it's imagery together to make a point. So editorial cartoons are really important. They give artists a tool to persuade an audience, just as we've talked about argument essays or speeches earlier in our time together. Also, artists can do the same. And so I'll share with you first this really famous, probably the first political cartoon in the US by Benjamin Franklin, published in his Pennsylvania Gazette in 1754. This was during colonial America, before we were the United States of America, before the Revolutionary War. And what you're seeing here, it says join or die, and obviously it's a snake all chopped up. If you're not from the US, I went ahead and put in the labels for what all of those letters stand for. Basically, they're the early colonial, areas. And obviously, we have Franklin making a point here. If we were in class together, we'd be talking about this, but clearly there's more power when we're together and we're not all chopped up. So if we could unify, if we could unite against England in our fight, we would be as powerful as a viper, right? It would be nothing to mess with. So artists can make that point. There's power in letting the audience connect the dots, right? Finding the meaning for themselves. There's that aha moment of discovery that's really lasting for an audience. And that's what editorial cartoonists are able to do. So I'm going to discuss 4 of the specific techniques they use to deliver their messages. All right, so first up, symbolism, which we've talked about in earlier videos, basically an image that stands for more than what it looks like at first. And again, we return to the serpent. This cartoon, I'll zoom in here to see what you notice. So this is, US history that I have here. We have Lady Liberty, a symbol of, justice and freedom. She's under attack by that serpent. The serpent of monopolies, business monopolies, has actually coiled itself around the US Capitol building here. We have a little boy dressed up, talking to this character. This old man is Uncle Sam, a symbol for the US government. And little boy, the title of the piece is In Danger, and the little boy is saying, "What are you going to do about it?" And so we have Lady Liberty under attack. Oh, she's frightened. So when readers would see this was actually from, an artist named Joseph Kepler. We're talking 1881. He's talking about the dangers that business monopolies pose to the liberty and freedom that we wanted our country to be about. And so you can make that connection. I was like, oh snap. He actually names names in his cartoon on the stripes of the serpent. He actually puts the names of prominent businessmen who he's calling out as controlling monopolies of industry. So we want, free, open competition, in capitalism. We don't want one person owning all the means of production. Exaggeration is another technique that an artist can use to make the point, using caricature and stereotype, really exaggerating things so that we can see the point that needs to be made. So in this World War I cartoon, we have men wanted for the army and then their measurements. We have the military leader. He's so pleased. Oh my, this giant muscular soldier with no head. And he says, "At last, a perfect soldier." With no mind, right? And so as the US was getting into World War I, Robert Miner created this cartoon, and basically he's showing the Army's lack of respect for the frontline soldiers and that they just wanted them strong and dumb and not thoughtful. All right, labeling is another way for an artist to make the point. So sometimes the image isn't clear, or the artist just feels like the reader would need that little bit of a helping hand in order to make the connection. So if an artist labels something, it's probably really, really important. So when you're analyzing a cartoon, pause and really look at what's actually physically labeled and give more weight to that. So this is a famous cartoon from the New York Times. It says, "Who stole the people's money?" Do tell. It was him. And then all of these men are pointing to the guy, next to him. It wasn't me, it wasn't me, it wasn't me. And they're labeled just like the serpent was labeled in the last one about industry leaders. This was actually a commentary about Tammany Hall, which was a political organization led by this guy named William or Boss Tweed. There was evidence that his organization had, I guess, extorted or swindled about $6 million out of funds that were supposed to go for political things, actually or going, into people's pockets. So artist Thomas Nast created this famous cartoon of everyone passing the buck. And labeling is really effective here to make sure the reader knows exactly which business leader, which political ally of Tweed's he's taking aim at. The heavyset man here is Boss Tweed himself, who reportedly at seeing this got very upset, and he said, "I don't care a straw for your newspaper articles," talking to the New York Times. My constituents don't know how to read, but they can't help but seeing them blasted pictures." So there's a way to communicate visually that is really impactful that people will pay attention to. Maybe they won't read the long article about the scandal, but they will pass that picture around. And then our last technique to pay attention to this time around is analogy. You can draw a comparison between two things. It's kind of like symbolism, right? But it's extended a bit where you're going to emphasize that larger point. So you can make a really complex thing simple by just like using an analogy. And here we have just after Canada was formed as its own country, we have Mother England there, Mother Britannia, Uncle Sam, the US, and then we have Mama England as Canada is a little baby, and the mama is saying, "See why the dear child can stand alone." And Uncle Sam is like, "Oh, of course he can. Let him go, Granny. If he falls, I'll catch him." And of course, this was an artist, unknown artist, basically speaking about that Canada was going to be okay. So this is from 1867, and just that, with the support of the U.S. and England, Canada is going to be just fine to grow. Even if it stumbles, we got your back, Canada. It's all good. All right, those are the 4 tools of persuasion that an editorial cartoonist can use, along with hitting those rhetorical tools of ethos, pathos, and logos. Using these tools to hit those points of rhetoric can be really effective for the artist. I have noticed that our standardized testing, we've got the SBAC, and up here in Idaho, all juniors take the SAT. I know the AP language test are starting more and more to use editorial cartoons and having you guys analyze them. So when you get stuck, if you speak specifically about symbolism, exaggeration, labeling, or analogy, you are on your way to writing a really good critique of whatever image they give you to analyze. All right, I hope that's helpful stuff. You guys know I'm here every Friday talking about high school, little drops of high school English awesomeness. And then we'll be back again on Monday for mechanics, usage, and grammar. We have our proofreading practice. And every Wednesday, we have vocabulary, words on Wednesday, going deep into 3 SAT level words. If you're enjoying the material, I love it when you subscribe to the channel, or if you like the video, it definitely helps people find me, and it helps me keep going. It's a little atta girl, which we all need this time of year. All right, I hope you guys are well. Have a great weekend. I'll be back on Monday, y'all. I'll see you then. Bye.